Hi guys, weekly market outlook, 16th of February, Sunday, with an important outlook for next week. Crypto markets are, well, in a way volatile, at least to say the least. They behave differently. The US dollar, though, is kind of losing momentum. We shall look into the US dollar index and the tariffs situation from the US. Donald Trump basically starting to implement reciprocal tariffs. Basically, those countries where the US export more than they import for that country is basically excluded, and Australia is one of those countries being excluded, as obviously exports from the US towards Australia being higher, which is why last week basically the Australian dollar, basically this week, geared up some momentum. At first, before the euro, the pound, among other currencies, followed suit against the greenback. The situation is interesting this upcoming week because Australia is basically starting the economic calendar as well, and they are going to kind of have an interest rate decision. 4.1%. It's going to be the expectation in rates, so an adjustment cut of 25 basis points. Let's examine if that's going to harm the Aussie. So far, the Australian dollar had kind of really lost some momentum against the greenback here, and we see that the market's important trading box here right now, sideways pattern, is now being left to the upside. If we can clear this momentum here and or this zone here, and basically as well the 50 moving average, then the upside momentum in the Australian dollar might continue. Let's move in and add the zones and check out the zones here in this chart, which we've seen in the past. Support, 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 turning resistance. That's exactly where the 50 moving average basically kicks in. So number one target could be that area. Looking at the other zone beforehand at a lower area here is that area. So just don't forget to check out our website fxstrategies.asia in order to check the latest news. We're gonna debate charts and markets day in, day out. Also check out this in our WhatsApp group, where basically you can ask me questions whenever you're trading the charts. Anyways, that's on a side note. What happens with the US dollar? Is there any further motivation basically that the greenback is gonna move up? Further momentum is the key takeaway right now. So far, it's been kind of interesting. The Australian dollar has geared up momentum. The euro was rising. The US dollar in general is obviously kind of losing quite a bit of steam, and with that, we might debate whether there's a further motivation in this market, and this further motivation here in upside motivational momentum here can be seen on the US dollar index. Let's open up the dollar index and check out what goes here in this market. At the moment, the market's momentum had been positive, but it was turning around. Quite a sharp turnaround here, and that might indicate that basically 50 moving average could fall slightly. That might indicate that downside momentum here in the dollar might continue. One of the worries might be as well that what Trump and what Elon Musk at the moment is doing in the US, what they are doing in regards to basically tariffs, spending money, would be somehow increase excessive spending. However, they claim that they just reduce the government size with some kind of interesting statements on the side. If you're listening at least to the Democrats, the entire situation seems to be a bit crazy, but we shall see on how it goes. At the moment, the US dollar is going to weaken further, and that's what the indication shows here in regards to the dollar index. Downside motivation might basically continue here. The market's momentum basically here, resistance here on the left, support on the right, but that zone is basically about to be broken, and with that, downside pressure might intensify. The euro is gearing up momentum as well, so that's looking positive. Similar story, just inverse correlation as usual as we talk about it day in, day out here. The pound is also gearing up momentum here, and that pin bar candlestick. Wait guys, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where I said this could be the last resort, at least for now, with the US dollar basically losing further motivation here, and this US dollar momentum here at the moment could intensify the negative momentum could intensify as the charting pattern basically shows. The market movement to the upside is kind of crystal clear here. The break, if you don't buy it, you're broke. Yes, the break of the falling trend line is the key takeaway. Any retracement could be seen and could be taken into consideration for upside momentum, which is, by the way, as well, basically shown in regards to the Australian dollar, as this one is rising as well, and the upside motivation kind of being a key takeaway here. So dollar weakness ahead, that's the interesting part, potentially focusing on. We have another important entry opportunity, which is this one, the dollar against the Japanese yen, and we shall examine. There's a few parameters we want to see for these trades to get triggered potentially, so we don't want to blindly just apply a sell stop order, but apply our metrics as usual in our trading here in order to basically kind of time out the entry opportunity in this case. What else do we have? We have further opportunities here, and in this regards we have potentially chances that the market might basically weaken further, and that's in regards to the silver market. We have a very strong negative market momentum here in silver. Pin bar, candlestick pattern, technical return to lower price levels. This pin bar candlestick last week basically just coincides at an important resistance area, and let's jump to the chart here, because that zone is quite remarkable here. That zone previously marked a strong resistance area, and with that strong resistance area here, we could see maybe left shoulder, head, right shoulder, a potential head and shoulders pattern. If we are looking at it from the longer term chart, and that's the weekly, it's even more clear that this area is basically now the markets make no more, the drawings make no sense. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, falling prices, and the neckline, in this case I would draw it maybe like this, would then coincide even with the 50 moving average. Any break of that might indicate falling prices. Well, silver breaking the 30 area, we are far away from that zone, is kind of an interesting statement maybe to make. And silver below the 30 or 28 area might occur only if we see bigger issues here, globally bigger issues, basically in the entire economy, efficiency whatsoever we see in the next couple of months, because there are some certain factors in markets which can be taken into consideration, which are equities in there and at their all-time highs. And that's basically something which might cause the markets to be a bit vulnerable here for further motivation, in this case, to weaken somehow. However, what we also see, and that's the next part here, is gold. Gold prices have basically started to weaken as well. However, the gold price was rocking big time. Now, on the weekly chart, we have printed another bearish, slightly bearish looking candlestick pattern. This is like something we on this chart here can observe, which is somehow basically weakening momentum here. If the market weakens below that area, we didn't test the 3,000 level so far. We are shy of that 2,950 area, and that's actually something which is something interesting here to observe. We didn't break the high point here as of basically recently, earlier last week or this week. This was the case. Pin bar candlestick, another attempt higher, and now the market's gonna weaken potentially as the candlestick pattern here suggests. So downside momentum, downside motivation might be the outcome here at some point, and the gold price being kind of quite interesting here in this market environment. Looking at the equity sector, and that's the mix here we see at the moment. The S&P 500 is about shy to break another high point here, creating another all-time high, basically over having created another all-time high, which is not quite, but at least testing the all-time high. And now the market might break higher again. So we are about to break above that zone here, resistance area twice tested, now potentially upside to be seen. That's looking positive. The Nasdaq as well doing similar points here. The Nasdaq has advanced even higher fairly recently, so that looks actually in favor of the Nasdaq, kind of quite beautiful here for further upside motivation in this market. Looking at the Dow Jones though, this market seemingly lags behind. It is not kind of as interesting at the moment. So what can we say? Tech stocks gearing up momentum further. The S&P might break to the upside. And now, last but not least, what does this tell us for the crypto space? The crypto markets are kind of offering mixed pictures. Bitcoin is still battling, and it looks like it could still correct somehow lower. We are still within this resistance, technical resistance territory or vicinity here of this pin bar candlestick. Monthly chart, far from over. That means we shall examine how the market momentum develops here somehow soon. The daily chart doesn't tell us anything much. This is just a wacky wiki sideways price action here we see in Bitcoin. So let's examine long-term charts to the upside, maybe above the high point. Long-term chart, maybe a break of the low towards the falling price ranges as well might occur. Ethereum is just holding steady. This chart here looks kind of quite interesting. The market's momentum is still positively behaving. So with that, I might say, okay, potentially entry opportunities here, slightly at least to buy some Ethereum again. XRP, by the way, also moving higher. Maybe there's also another head and shoulders pattern in the making. I'm not too sure. Left shoulder head, right shoulder in the making. Currently, pin bar candlestick, market didn't weaken. Upside momentum working out potentially, but we got to see a break of the high in order to qualify. And then Solana has been lagging behind. That's the worrisome child here. This chart doesn't really look good. The market looks like it's gonna break lower as we've cleared the 200, or we've broken below the 200 US dollar psychological level, and that might basically indicate further weakness could be seen in this market. Last but not least, guys, I said first of all, but we have another interesting chart. I like two interesting charts which were basically kind of interesting and combined in regards to analysis, and that's the oil chart. Let's look at oil. Oil markets have weakened further, and this sounds like the market is ready with a break of the 70 US dollar range to break lower again. We are also observing this. Technical patterns kind of really tell us, and maybe we have some sort of important news releases, information whatsoever, which calls for a dramatic cooling in the economy. I don't see any black swan coming up at the moment, but we have signs. Silver, demand-wise, if weakening, could cause the silver market to fall somewhat. The gold market doesn't give us anything much, but the oil market is obviously kind of economy driven by the economy, which is important as it's falling currently and about to break the 50 moving average as well, which gives us further reasoning to believe that downside momentum might intensify here in the oil market. And this obviously then also leads us to the Canadian dollar, and holy moly, this is the dollar against the Canadian here, which had broken. We anticipated this last week, the break of the 143 area. We said we want to sell, and so we are in a shortening opportunity here. The market is just like giving us really a big important price pattern here. Huge belt on a monthly chart. Barely seen that in the past, to be honest. Let's see if that one pops back to the upside. It would obviously be something interesting. If this market pops back to the downside or continues to the downside, then I might say we would be in as well to intensify and increase our position. Is it the same against the Euro? Not quite so much, but again, as well, given the sheer size of this candle, the market momentum might intensify as well against the Euro. So to sum it up, guys, for this upcoming week, dollar weakness potentially to continue, dollar index remaining extremely weak. With a weak dollar index, we might see that further negativity might continue. The Euro positive, the pound positive, the Aussie rising, equities potentially breaking to the upside. Worrisome opportunities in regards to silver might break lower market or continue to break lower based on silver's longer term weekly chart candlestick pattern, which looks rather bearish. I'm eyeing the chart at the same time, daily and weekly, rather bearish, and gold potentially ripe for a correction. Crypto differently across the board. And with that, guys, I'd like to release you here. Chat with me soon. Give me your comments below the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and talk to you soon next week as usual. See you then. Take care, guys. Bye bye.